Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sure? Are you ready as you'll ever be?
Yeah.
So what is your name?
What is my name?
Yeah, what is your full name?
Jackie D. Terry.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
But you go by Jack, right?
I go by Jack. I hate that. I hate that Jackie. I have for.
Well, we won't call you that. We won't call you that.
Darn near 90 years I have hated that word.
Yeah. Who picked that name? Your mom or your dad?
I don't know, but they thought I was going to be a girl. See?
Oh, that's why.
4 boys ahead of me, they
Oh.
wanted a girl, so they put that name out.
Is your sister the youngest then?
My sister is after me is LaVon.
Oh, okay.
She was supposed to be Jackie.
Gotcha. What is your birth date?
November 19th, 1925.
Born in 25. So you're born in the right before the Depression area?
It was in the Depression.
Oh, it was in the Depression.
We were still, see, 25, it was tougher as hell. And 25, clear up to 38.
Wow.
It was tough on the farm.
And so what city and state were you born in?
City. I was born in the pasture, I think.
What city?
You know, I don't know where I was born. I know that I think it's on my birth certificate is Elsie, Nebraska.
Elsie?
Yeah, they don't have no hospital. They don't have nothing.
Huh.
So I think they had what do they call them, a home?
Like a midwife?
Yeah, I think. I don't even know.
It's like someone that just comes out to help you with the process?
Help the mama.
And then your mom just stayed on the farm after she had you?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Compared to what they do today, that's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, that's something I really don't know where. I know it's listed as Elsie, Nebraska. Little town north of Juanita, quite a ways. 16 miles from Juanita and about 20 to Elsie.
And Juanita was the town where your farm was at?
No, it was north of there, 16 miles.
Oh, okay, you're north
That's
of...
where we went to high school.
Was Juanita?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. What, so you grew up in Elsie, or you grew up in Juanita, or in between it?
Grew up on the farm. Between. Like a weed. My mother and dad did move up there, though. For some reason, LaVon was born up at Elsie.
LaVon?
Yeah, my sister. Dad had let somebody farm the place for, I don't know what it's, I was only 25, and that was 30. I was only be about 5 years old when we was in Elsie.
Okay.
But I remember that's where I started school.
Oh, okay.
And the teacher gave me a flower in a pot like I was a baby, and I took it with me to the farm.
What kind of flower?
I don't know. It died.
It died.
But my brothers were ornery up there. They'd go around and throw rocks at street lights and bust them, get in trouble.
Yeah.
Headlights out on a post. My older brothers, I was too young, because see, I was only, if I started at school, I'd only been 5.
Do you remember
That 1931, Vic LaVon was born
Okay.
up at Elsie. Up in the house. I know she was there, because I heard her bawl.
Oh, jeez.
She was upstairs in a upstairs room, and us down in the bottom part, we heard her squeal. Little baby.
Baby sister.
Yeah.
Do you remember the names of your grandparents?
My grandpa,
Yeah, on your dad's side, or if not, it's okay.
I don't know what grandpa, my grandmother was Anna. Anna was her, and my grandpa, here's my dad's. My dad's right there.
Which one's your dad?
That's my Aunt Anna and my grandmother. My dad is somewhere. Oh no, wait a minute, that's him, ain't it? Let me see.
John
Yeah,
Terry?
yeah, he was going by John. I didn't think I had it. He called his last boy Johnny, and that's Dad. Yeah, that's John. I thought it
Oh,
was.
okay.
In my mind, I was thinking it was John.
So
John Terry.
this is your dad,
Yeah.
and that's your mom.
No, no.
That's his family.
That's Terry family. That's Dad, and
Dewey?
that's Maud.
This is Dewey.
Yeah, he
This is
went
Maud.
by A.D. Maud. Bob, that's his brother. And Ollie was his sister. And Ruth died sometime before we really knew her. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But she had, I don't know, her husband was the king she married.
And then these are your grandparents.
Yeah, that's
John?
Grandpa and Grandma and little brother John. They called
Anna?
him Little John.
Oh, okay.
Got all of that right there.
Yeah. And then what's this one? This one's.
Oh, I don't know.
What about all these names?
I ain't wrote down, but
This is your mom's side.
yeah, that's my mom's
And what's
side.
the last name on your mom's side?
Miller.
Miller. Okay.
Uh,
But these were your
that's
grandparents.
Grandpa and Grandma. I remember I never liked Grandma because she wouldn't feed us when I went up there. Grandpa was a good jokester. I know a lot of her sisters' names.
Well, that's all right. I mean, as long as we get a picture of it, that's pretty cool.
That picture's nice to have a picture of it.
And what was your parents' full names? What was your mother's name?
Luella May Kennedy.
And your father was Alvy.
Well, he went by Alvy, but we just called him A.D. or Dewey. His name on that picture is Dewey.
Oh, so his real name is Dewey.
His real
Isn't
name Dewey Terry.
Is that your middle name? No, you're Jackie Dean. Jack Dean, right?
Yeah, I'm Jackie Dean.
I won't say that anymore.
Grab.
What was your mother like? If you had to describe your mother, what was she like?
Well, she was a very sweet, and she was little, not very tall, and she had to chase us kids under the bed a lot, because if we did something wrong, and she'd get the broom handle, and she'd poke under the bed to get you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she couldn't hit us or anything, so we'd crawl back far enough.
When you knew you were in trouble?
When we were little, we'd get in trouble. I was a little one, but Buck was older, and then it was Vincent and Albert. Let's see, Vincent, Albert and Charlie and Buck and I and Levon. That's how they go.
How does that go again? Who's the oldest?
Vincent.
You said Albert?
Albert. And Buster, his real name was Buster. He went by Buck.
Oh.
He grew up to be 6'3".
And then it was you.
And then Levon. Levon's 5 years younger than I am, and I'm 5 years younger than Charlie.
And what was your father like, if you had to describe your father?
My father was he was a good father. He was somebody you didn't ask, what are you going to do? When he told me, you go out and clean the manure out of the barn, I said, well, what are you going to do? And that was the wrong thing to say. He hit me on the side of the face with his big paw and knocked me on the ground. He said, don't you ask me what I'm going to do. You're going out there and clean that barn.
So he was strict?
He was strict, but he didn't like you to interrupt what he had planned. Of course, most fathers that way.
Yeah. And you said he was...
He was a good father, though. He was he made us work.
And you said something about he was a wheeling dealing type of guy?
He was.
A wheeling dealing type of guy? You could sell ice to an
Oh
Eskimo?
yeah, he was a. I called him a gypsy. He liked to move. He liked to buy horses at sales, barns, or wherever, and he had to have horses at that time farming when we was in farming before we got the tractor. But he had horses. And he took care of everything, and he made you work.
So that's where you got your work ethic from?
I think so. And my mother, she was very. She didn't like to hear you cuss. You never hardly heard her say a cuss word.
Oh, yeah?
But dads, you know how dads are. Occasionally they will cuss. But she was a good woman. She would just put to raise 5 boys and 1 girl. It'd be a tough battle.
So you said that in the Depression area, you grew up in the Depression area?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was born in 25, but when I was 5 years old, I knew quite a bit about the Depression.
because you said it didn't end until about 38?
Yeah. For us, on the farm life.
Okay.
Then when it finally improved was when World War II started, 1941.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It started, all the stuff they had to produce and more work for everybody.
And tell me about the time that you said your dad moved you guys to Washington during the Depression era?
No.
Or you went on a trip to go...
What it was 1936. All the farm crops burned up. And he had a 2-wheel trailer with the lid that folded up like this, and this was solid.
It's like a teardrop?
This 2-wheel trailer pulled behind the 19, I don't know what the hell car was, 36 or 35. We went out to see my mother's side of the family, had mostly moved out of Elsie and went to Oregon.
You went to Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember much about that trip?
When we went?
How old were you?
Well,
1936 years, so...
I was only 7.
Okay.
My sister celebrated her birthday in Salt Lake when we went. When we left to go on that trip, it was so dry, and Dad got a couple to stay on the farm. We went in that trailer, and the car, and 2 of us had to sleep in that, right in the back of that trailer.
Well, you can't do that nowadays.
Boy, 2 of us had to ride in there at one time or another.
Uh-huh.
And I remember we went up to Wyoming. We were going to the frontier days, the first thing.
Oh, really?
When we left the farm, we went up that way. And we got up there in a little town, and I was in the trailer, and one of my brothers, I don't know which one, and Dad come around and unhooked. The trailer had a snap thing on it, hinge, opened it up, and we had this horsehide on us. And when we started getting up, these old guys sitting on the bench seen that, and they just started getting there, started to get up and run. They didn't know what it was coming out of there. It was the horsehide laying over somebody. They didn't see us. We just started to get out. We was laying down.
So you scared them.
I'll never forget that.
That was your blanket, the horsehide?
Yeah, it wasn't. They used to have horsehides. Sometimes you skin them and keep them, make a kind of a rug or something like that.
That's interesting.
But them 2 people, well, about 4 or 5 of them got off that bench fast when that lid opened up, and we started raising up, because all we could see was the blanket coming up. because we was laying down. There wasn't room to set up in the damn thing.
Yeah, you can only lay down in it.
It was just a little old shitting trailer.
Long enough to sleep in.
Yeah.
Barely. So, what was it like growing up on the farm? What was the temperature like growing up on the farm?
What was it like?
The temperature. Was it hot?
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot and mighty hot.
Super hot?
Super hot. It was so hot we had to sleep outside on a sheet and a bed without any covers,
Wow.
blanket or nothing. And it's the summertime. Wind would blow up, your body'd be all sweating.
Uh-huh.
As hot it was, you're sleeping out there sweating with probably the shorts on. And then the wind would come up and there's on a hill and there's sand, sort of like this. It'd blow on you. And when you'd wake up, sometimes you'd look at yourself and you'd just be like a mud man.
Mud man?
There was that dust would stick to you, of course.
Jeez.
But it was sometimes you wasn't too happy to sleep out there, but it was so damn hot in the house.
Couldn't sleep inside, it was too hot?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
What about the winters out there? Were the winters pretty cold?
Yes.
Lots of snow and
Damn
snowdrifts?
cold. Damn cold. I don't know, sometimes I can remember going out and playing. I shouldn't even be out there, you just freeze. Your
Really?
hands and mittens and get wet.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
how kids play in the snow.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you didn't have that good gear we have now.
No.
You can go lay in it for hours and be fine.
Little thin gloves. But it was cold.
How was it farming the acres by hand?
How was it farming?
By the hand? Because didn't you hand shuck the corn?
Yeah, we hand shucked corn.
You didn't have a machine or a tractor, did you?
When we had wheat, my earliest days that I can remember is they had a header. They went out there and cut the wheat, and I don't remember all the fundamentals about that, but it would cut the straw and the wheat, and it must have had something that had a roller that went up into like a rack, hay rack,
Uh-huh.
or horses on the front. It'd go up in there, and then you would haul it in and put it in a stack, and then you would take it, somebody come with a thrashing machine, and you'd throw bundles of wheat and straw together in there to get your grain separated. That was my remembrance of the first, and then eventually combines. Dad bought a combine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had it in 1930 when we was up at Elsie.
Oh, okay.
And he used to go around the farmers after he got his little wheat crop cut on the farm, of his own farm. He would hire out and cut theirs.
Oh, okay.
I was too young to be involved with that with Vincent. And, he'd drive the tractor pulling the combine while it was cutting and harvesting.
How many acres did you guys have to farm?
There was 360 acres, but 40 acres of it was pasture.
Okay. And how many acres did you do by hand when you shucked corn?
Oh,
Did you have to do all 310 acres?
no.
Or
No,
300?
we had 80 on the west side of the pasture fence, west of the house, and we had 160 north. That's what we had actually farmed around.
The 160?
160 and 80.
Oh, okay.
And then he had some patches up. Dad had give a section, part of the ground that he had owned to the school. They built a new school right south of the house where Dad built. It was a quarter mile to school.
What? So did you guys have running water when you grew up, or when did you guys get running water? You had to use the outhouse, or?
We had to use the outhouse even when Dad sold out. They're still using the outhouse, and I was going to high school Let's see. He decided to sell the farm when I was a senior in high school. That would have been 1944. And he was going to sell it. And I think he rented it because Brother Charlie lived down there for a while and somebody else. But he didn't sell the farm when I was a senior, I don't think.
Do you guys have electricity while you're growing up?
No.
No
We had
electricity.
No electricity. We used a lantern, kerosene lamp. Then Dad had a tank and he had carbide in it, and it made gas or somehow in it, in this tank in the ground. It was kind of a powder they put in there,
Mm-hmm.
and that generated enough gas, I guess, and they had little lamps put in certain rooms in the house that he put in. That's after we was there quite a while.
Oh, wow.
And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened to that system of using that, and then they started buying these Aladdin lamps that sit on the table, or
Like kind of like that one?
yeah, bigger than that. But
Oh, really?
That and had kerosene or special fuel, but we had them.
Huh.
But the Aladdin was the top of the line, and Dad left there in 1944. He was kept the farm.
Okay.
He left there in 1944. Him and Mom took off, and he had broncho problem with his lungs for the dust and stuff.
Oh.
So he started carpentering then.
Your dad did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was a carpenter because he built all the buildings on the farm.
So he built how many buildings did you have on there?
We had a big barn, a pretty good sized house, and a pretty long place for the chickens by itself. And then on the end they had places for a brooder, had little chickens. A brooder,
Okay.
they had to buy little chicks, and then she'd have sometimes 200 little baby chicks in there, and they'd grow up.
Yeah.
And then you'd put them in a shed he'd built, and it was on runners, and he'd move it out in the pasture, and they'd eat grasshoppers and stuff.
Huh.
But that was a pretty good size. And then he had a granary. It was three bins built. It was built like this. And then on this side, he took and made a kind of a roof on its own.
Yeah.
And that was kind of his shop, or, you know, he had a vise and stuff down there. He didn't have much. And they never did have a door on it. You just drove in there.
Huh.
Put the tractor in there, or truck, pickup or something. Never had a pickup. But it had a bench and a vise where a farmer would work. And then it had another building. It was called a garage. And south of the single car garage in this long building was two bins. One was for, Dad kept usually cobs in there.
Okay.
And this other one, it had a petition. There was another one just like it, the size. And I don't remember too much what he kept in there, but I know the one always had cobs that we shelled the corn, and then we'd take it in a basket and haul it in. We'd burn it in the stove. That was our heating stuff.
Huh.
To keep warm. And then north of that, in that building, was it was designed kind of for we called it a bunkhouse. Dad used to hire some people to come and help him shuck corn by hand, and they would sleep out there. And then he would pay them, you know, for shucking corn. And then later, when he got out of there, or while he was still there, it turned it into a washing area for the washing machine.
Hmm.
But when the men were there for Dad, they was helping shuck corn. They slept out there.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where in the hell they ate. I don't remember that. But
How?
then he had a big barn. We had room in that barn. Oh, on this set like this, the gable roof, hay mound. Down below, over here, it had a stretch across the barn. That's where he had pigs. He raised stick panels every so often, wood panels, and raise hogs and have baby pigs.
Uh-huh.
And over here on this other side of the inside here was where he had his milk cows.
Oh, okay.
Stick their head in the stall thing, and then you pulled it shut, and they couldn't back out of there while you milked.
Oh, okay.
And then they had a place to put hay there and eat while he was milking them.
Huh.
And over here was a horse. Let's see, 3 horse stalls. And then there was a gate, and that was just kind of a place where was nothing but cattle that could come in there or something when it was bad weather.
Oh, okay.
But this 3 stall was for horses, and it had a bunk thing like this and a box up here for each horse. You'd put grain in here and hay in here, and place on the north side of the wall of the barn. He had hooks to throw the harness on, and then it had a big hay mound up there. He had straw and sometimes cane up there to feed the horses.
How?
It should have a picture someplace of that. I took quite a few pictures of it.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if you could get them and see the home place where we was raised.
Mm-hmm. How far did you live from your elementary school? Where'd you go to school for elementary?
Country school.
Country
They
school?
had built a brand new brick schoolhouse in I think on the front of that school was the year I was born, 1925. They built a big brick schoolhouse. And I can't remember what kind of a roof it had, but you come in from the south, went up the steps, and it was on that landing, and they had a big dividing thing it slid in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And here was a smaller class, and over here was the older ones. They pulled that. They had teachers for this bunch and teacher for this bunch. And then up here in this end, they had a stage where they had their school programs and a curtain.
Okay.
And then you went down from when you come in the front door, you could go up, and then if you went this way a little, you went down, and that was a basement. And down there was a furnace room, and then there was a kind of a room like if women, they had a lot of, they called it PTAs, where they bring pies and everybody and they'd get together every so often. They had a room south of the furnace room for them women working there, and then over here was one long room that everybody sat down to eat.
Oh, okay.
For their get-togethers.
How far was that from the farm?
Quarter mile.
Oh, okay.
Everybody always asked me how far in school did you go, and I said a quarter mile, over one fence and
Uphill
down the
both
gully
ways?
and up over another fence, and there was a school.
How far were you from your high school?
16 miles from Juanita.
And when did you? So how many grades were in your elementary school? Were you in
8.
8 grades? So K through 8.
Yeah.
And when you went to high school, did you go live with someone so you could go to high school?
I stayed with my grandmother a lot.
Which one, Kennedy?
Anna.
Anna. Okay.
See, Anna's husband, John, died while they were building that house. They moved from their farm. I wasn't alive then. They moved from their farm, and he had quite a bit of farm ground, and he divided it up and gave each one of the kids so much ground, you know. Dad got 320 acres, but I think he probably got 160 and then paid, or maybe, I don't know. But he ended up with 320 acres. Dad did. That was from when Grandpa died. He sold and divided the ground out in the will.
Oh, okay.
And they were building a new home for Grandma and Grandpa in town. And he died while they were building that, and she went ahead and kept it, and she lived there until she died. And we boarded with her.
Oh, okay.
The winters were so bad you couldn't drive 16 miles, so she would board us. She boarded me, and she boarded my two cousins, the twins that her brother had, Bob. And then I think Buck was there when I was. And before me there was another aunt or cousin or whatever stayed with her. But that's the way she made her money to survive.
Yeah.
She boarded school kids.
What was it like going to a school in a small town?
Pardon?
What was it like going to a school in a small town?
Well, going to a small town from a farm was quite a difference.
Yeah.
See, we were just farm kids. We never got to go to town too much. Mom and Dad would go get groceries. Sometimes we got to go, sometimes we didn't. But sometimes we'd get in there and pick on us. We'd beat the shit out of them, I know that. But the town boys didn't know how mean boys, 5 boys could be when they got them mad.
Yeah.
But they soon learned not to pick on us. But going to school down there was quite a change from going from an 8th grade country school. Because see, we didn't have music. We'd have singing and stuff like that once in a while. But they had classes of teaching music and things like when they got to town.
Uh-huh.
But out there it was mostly schoolwork and PTAs and get-togethers and trying to learn something.
How many kids were in your graduating class?
I think there was 40.
40.
They had a big class in them days.
What sports did you participate in school?
Oh Christ, I took everything. I tried track. I didn't like track. I loved football. And I consider myself a damn good football player. And I played basketball just to keep in shape. I didn't really like it, but I played it. And then I played baseball. And then when our coach was drafted in the war, I think he left in the junior year. We started, no, he was still there. We had boxing in between football and basketball. I think our boxing was after basketball. We boxed.
Oh, really?
Oh, hell. It was a big sport. Of course, us growing up with a dad, if you want to know how he was his quote was, if we got in an argument and he didn't allow it, he'd put a pair of boxing gloves on you. And he'd knock the pudding out of each other until the one went down, and he was a winner. Stopped the argument.
There it goes.
Yeah. But that's how he raised us, with boxing gloves.
Did your family have a car growing up?
Did I have a car?
Did your family have a car growing up? You said
Car?
Car, like automobile?
Oh, yeah. I kind of remember the first one was called the Durant. I don't even... And before that, I'm sure they had, well, my dad did, he showed pictures of them. He had a Model T. He had a Model T.
So you always had a car at the house?
Yeah.
At least one?
Just one, yeah.
Not 2 or 3?
No.
What kind of cars did you have when you were growing up? Did you have your own car, or when you got out back
Well, I did, but Dad come out here to do carpenter work. He's building Buckley transport out here for war, and I stayed home, and my mother and my sister, and I run the farm. I planted everything. I seed drilled and corn and milked and raised hogs. And I was still a punk in high school. And you asked me the question, did I have a car? Right?
Yeah.
Right. While he was out here working and I was doing that, he brought me back a Bulova watcher, that I still have, and he bought me back a, what the hell was that, coupe Chevy? A coupe Chevy, and I think it was, let's see, it had to have been in the 30s, 30, maybe a 38 Chevy coupe. And he said it cost him $100, and he gave that to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a junior in high school though.
That's a pretty big deal.
Oh, that was a heck of a deal. $100 he paid for that, he said.
Wow.
And so I got that my junior year, before I become a senior. And I was really happy to have a car.
I bet.
But my good brother Charlie was so good when Buck and I was going to school. He was a senior and I was a freshman. He'd let us have one of his cars so we could have a little fun, you know.
Yeah.
And Buck and I were supposed to share it. Well, Buck was a shy poke. He would have it for so many days or nights, and I got it the rest of the time, or vice versa. And we both had to put gas in it. Well, I'd put gas in it the time I was to have it. And then he come and said, well, I got to change things. I got to have the car tonight. Something come up. And that's the way he shy poked you.
Shy poked you?
He shafted you.
Yeah. Did you have any motorcycles growing up?
Yep, I bought a motorcycle senior year in high school.
What kind was it?
19, let's see, it was an Indian, 4-cylinder. I come out to Denver and I bought that, and I wired for money from what money I had in the bank from working for farmers for $2 a day. I'd saved my money, and I don't know what year that bike was. I think it was in the 40s. It wasn't a brand new one.
No.
New one at that time cost $5,000. Harley Davidson.
Ooh. What age did you start working on the farm to help out?
10 years old.
10 years old. And what type of work was there?
What kind of work was it? It was hard work.
Hard labor?
Hard labor. I remember Dad put me on when they was cutting wheat, he had a single row cultivator, and he had so much ground he'd plant crop for hay, cane or something. Well, I got the job of running that cultivator up and back, and it had discs on it and cut the weeds off of the furrow and all that. That's what I did when I first got my working while they were cutting the wheat. And then a little later, all the boys started going here and there, and there wasn't enough work, so I started driving the tractor, pulling the combine in harvest. And I know I wasn't much over 11 driving that combine.
Wow.
We cut our wheat with, well, I had to watch the sickle all the time not to get what you call stretch the sickle. You get over too far, then you'd leave it a little and you catch half. But you had to follow that line that went through there first, because that wheat was pretty valuable assets. Corn was too.
What happened when you were a kid in high school? You said a couple of you had to deal with some kids that were calling you names and they wanted to meet you outside?
Oh, this one kid, we were training for boxing at that time.
You said he could whip your ass?
Yeah, he come in there and he told somebody he's gonna kick my ass. And this kid he told was a friend of mine. He told me, so I went to him and he said, "Yeah, I said that." And I said, "Well, you're gonna have to prove it to me." I said, "We'll go down here at the corner tomorrow night and we'll have it out." We went down there on the corner down there on Main Street. All the kids knew it was going to take place, so we had a good crowd.
How old were you when you tried to sign up for the military?
I didn't sign up. They gave me a welcome, drafted.
Oh, you got drafted?
Yeah, I got drafted. I was 17.
They drafted you at 17?
Yeah, they gave me the welcome, and I didn't take my physical until I was 18. See, I was 17 in November, and then I took as soon as my birthday in 18, I took the physical.
Did you finish high school?
I did, but I wouldn't have if I wouldn't have asked the draft board. But I was supposed to go before I even graduated. And I asked him if I could possibly finish. Well, that was in December. We graduated in May, and they said, "Yeah, we can give you that much time," because the war was starting to slow down. You know.
Okay. What year was that?
44. And then I graduated in 1944 in May, and then they drafted me, sent me the letter, and I went to San Diego to boot camp in June.
You went to San Diego?
Yeah. Come to Denver.
And that was in 1944 you went to boot camp?
44. We come to Denver, and where we got our physical, and went from Denver to San Diego, and we called it the cattle trains, like sleeping in a cattle train.
What was your job title in the Navy?
I run the front engine room control and the diesel engines when I stood my shift. I run the controls when the skipper up above rang down the orders. I had to do what he wanted, the speed. And we had 2 engine rooms. Ours was controlled from the skipper up above, and I don't know what, he probably controlled the back too some, but we were the main engine room. We had 2 big diesels, and I had to control the speed and different things that he'd call down.
Was it hot down there?
Oh, we had kind of a little hot, but it wasn't hot like it was up on top. It was 135 up on top.
Holy shit.
When you come out of the engine room seemed cool compared to that.
Yeah.
But your engine, we had 2 big diesel engines, was taller than I was. About that much taller. I'd stand up and raise my hands, and I could just about reach the top of them. And I remember them being probably from that cabinet, let's see, probably about where you're sitting or right in here, long.
Oh, wow.
Big, wide.
Yeah.
It had opposed pistons, this way and this way.
Huh.
We had 2 of them, and then we had a generator in there that generated the electricity.
Okay.
And the back room had, I don't know if that's where it was where the water tank was, because that's where the guy fell asleep. It purified the water, kept it certain temperatures to get the bugs and the salt out of it. They run it through a boiler and got it so hot, I think it had to be about 190 or something to go through there and distill the water that we use and fill in our tank to drink. And
how was the water? Did it taste good or bad?
I don't remember the taste until the night that it tasted awful salty, and that's when he fell asleep. The chip about ready to kill that boy. He gave him really heck over that.
How was it going to boot camp in World War II?
How was it? Well, to me, being a boy that had four brothers ahead of me, and we worked, we beat each other occasionally. Of course, when I got up big enough to defend myself, my older brothers were gone. I couldn't fight back much. But to me, for my age at 18, I wasn't 18. I was older because of my brothers being around them.
Yeah.
But some of the people coming in there were married and left their families, and it was hard on them people. But I didn't have no trouble with it, because I just got out of high school training for every damn thing. Boxing, football, baseball.
What ship were you on, and you commissioned it, and what was its purpose?
Our ship was AVP 39, Gardner's Bay. After we got out of boot, we went up to San Pedro and took a little schooling, training. Wasn't a whole lot.
Is that where you shipped out of? San Pedro?
Yeah, well, we went from Pedro to Seattle. And I think we was in a town called Kirtland, Washington. And the ship was made there at a shipyard right next to Kirtland. But we were, the new ship, we got put on a new ship, and we got to commission it, put it in, they had a big celebration, you know. I don't know what they called it. But they had a big thing where they commissioned it as ship and the name and everything, and before we all boarded it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose of that ship was it was called a seaplane tender. We carried 80,000 gallon of seaplane fuel, 100 octane, and that fuel was to be used in PBY's Navy planes that had the floats on, that they would land on the water to pick up people that were shot down in an airplane, you know, in the ocean. We was to go pick them up and be out there. That was the purpose of the seaplane tender, and sometimes while we were anchored, the seaplanes would come in and fill up just like a gas station. They had a hose.
Throw them the hose?
You'd put it over there, and a guy on the plane would fill it up, and then they'd go back out.
Wow.
We'd be anchored at that time. That's where they got their fuel to go out and back.
Were the planes pretty big?
The seaplanes,
Like a medium size, right?
they wasn't too big. They was, I think they probably, I don't remember, I don't even have a picture of them. I have to get my Navy book out and see if they're in there. I think if I remember right, they were two engine jobs. And the floats was over here and the floats over here.
On the wing, yeah.
When they come in. I really don't know what the picture of them are. I'd like to get there.
What was it like living on the Navy ship?
What was it like?
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. Another guy I got acquainted with, he was from New Mexico. I knew his name, but now I can't think of it. But he was a married guy, and I decided instead of having KP in the regular mess hall, we volunteered to do it in the chief's quarters.
Ah.
I got thinking a little bit and said, well, they got good food up there. We'll get good food at least, better than down the mess hall. So we put in for that and we got it. And
Oh, really?
we had coffee down the path. Them old chiefs, they loved us. And any food they had left, we got to eat it, and it was a lot better than the stuff in the mess hall.
So
And
you're
old
pretty
Nap,
smart.
Nap was his name. Yeah, him and I got up there. Peeled potatoes. We peeled a few potatoes, a lot of potatoes, before we got to change.
Where did you go during your deployment in the Navy? Like, where did you guys travel to?
Where did we go to?
Do you remember
Yeah,
some of the places?
Well, we commissioned, that's what it was. We commissioned our ship up there at Kirkland.
Kirkland?
And then we went out on the South Pacific, out through a bay. Little Amanda showed me that when we was up there visiting last November. We could look right down on the harbor that we came out and went out to the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out the ocean, and that night what we had to eat was, I remember because I got sick, we had hot dogs and ice cream. And we hit some real rough water. And of course, everything started coming up. Everything.
That was
like,
your first?
Felt like your feet were coming up.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was sick. That water was rough. But that ain't the thing to eat, going out in a ship, rough water.
Yeah.
Wieners and ice cream.
No, those don't mix well.
It's not a good mix.
Did you
then
go to...
we went down to Oakland.
Okay.
We went to Oakland, and it seemed to me like, I don't remember for sure, I had a cousin stationed there, and they asked me over for an evening meal, and I went out to that house. That'd be Dawn Terry, and Lou Terry was her name. He was Uncle Bob's son, my dad's brother's boy. He was older than I was. He'd been out and back there stationed. Then I think we went to San Diego, and we left San Diego and went to Pearl Harbor. And then we was all by our lonesome all the way over to, oh God, I don't know the first place we hit.
That's all right.
I think we went to, we went to Guam and Saipan. That had already been taken over by before our time there. And then we left there and we went to, I think, Anahuita, they called it. It was a little island, and they let us out, anchored there in that Anahuita, and they always had like a beer party when that happened.
Yeah.
We'd go off the beach and drink beer, play games. And football, this and stuff. And then we went from Anahuita, I can't remember that damn place where the Jap suicide plane come in.
What was the scariest thing that you went through in the Navy?
The what?
The scariest thing that happened to you in the Navy?
This coming up on this suicide plane. I'm trying to think of that island name. Camaretta, I think they called it, Camaretta. I could see a map, I could pick it up. I think we went to Camaretta, and we were pulled in the harbor, and Tokyo Rose was an American that worked for the Japanese. She said, "Welcome to this bay." When we pulled in there, that's how they knew. She was an informer for the Japs.
Got it.
She said, "Welcome to this island," being an asshole. But anyhow, she welcomed it, and we pulled in there, and they made us at night. They had what they call smudge pots, like orchards have. When it gets cold, they run these smudge pots to keep the cold from getting the fruit.
Huh.
Well, we had that go around in that harbor with boat with one of them or two burning, and the Japs couldn't see us in there at night.
Oh, okay.
It was covered up on it. So we got through, a buddy of mine and I had just ate, and we came up on the deck in the back, and I was just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden I seen these F-4U planes of ours coming in. I don't know if they were 2 or 3, and they were built and training. Then they had a dip in the wing, and that's how we knew they were F-4Us, our plane. And they come in, and I think there was 2 at that time. And I said to my buddy, I said, I wonder how come them F-4Us are coming in so low and this time of night. And about that time, I no more got it said, and they started shooting. It was Japs had captured it down by Philippine fighting and coming up. They had captured that in planes. And they came in on us, and they were taught, from what we were told in Japan before they boarded to go be a suicide plane, to take the bigger ships. Well, our ship was the size of a destroyer, and about the same size, 250 people on it, with all ammunition, and we had 5-inch gun ammunition plus other landmines. We had some in the back you could drop if you got submarine got close.
The depth charges?
Yeah, depth charges. And they had some quad 40s and different ones, but we had all that ammunition on us, and we seen them coming. And of course, the general quarters signal went off, and we had to all run to get to our station, close the hatches and the doors and stuff. And mine was up in the forward engine room, but I had to close the door. And I don't remember all of that took place, but they come in and they didn't take us. They took I think it was a cruiser. We couldn't anchor too close to each other, because then we couldn't shoot without shooting ourselves.
Yeah.
And so they took the cruiser, the bigger ship they were taught, got 100 people. They hit the side. And if they took us, they'd have got 250 people and all the fuel, and you wouldn't have survived.
Wow.
That was the scariest thing that happened.
What was your best memory in World War II?
Huh?
What was your best memory of World War II?
Oh, the best memory would be after the war was over.
I bet.
Let's go on with this here. After we got out of there, then they'd send us up along the coast of Okinawa. They were still fighting up there. And they fired the gun. That's where they fired the gun when I was closing the hatch. And I didn't get to my quarters because I was up on the deck, and I had to go down and wait to the front. And they fired. I don't know what the hell they were shooting at. They had to be shooting at something, but there was still a fight going over on Okinawa. And so then we went back to Island again. And then they started scuttlebutt going that they were going to attack the southern tip of Japan. And this was what started going around, everybody was talking about. And the next thing, they dropped a bomb not too long after this discussion we were having. Because we'd all had guns and landing just like a landing force. Thank God they didn't, because it was just thick with tunnels and undermined stuff up there. So they dropped the bomb, and of course we seen the BB, let's see, what would it be? B-25s or B-19s. The ones that were flying up towards Japan when we was in Guam. You could just see them every morning take off, heading for Tokyo, Japan area, bombing. And that was way earlier. And then after we got the scuttlebutt was going to be invading the southern tip of Japan. Well, they dropped the A-bomb a few days after that, and they dropped that, and that stopped all of the scuttlebutt.
Yeah.
And then we got in a fleet for the first time in the damn time we're out there. We went up and we went around off of Tokyo Bay. I think it was about 14 days, because I know we had to put on some fuel while we was out there from a tanker. And they didn't trust them. And the next thing said, well, we're going in. And our ship was the third ship in Tokyo Bay for some reason. I guess they wanted somebody, if they got shoot, they would warn the other ones. I don't know. We'd have been a big...
You guys were the sacrifice?
We'd have been ball afar. But we was the third one. It's on a plaque thing right down there in the basement.
Yeah. When you got out of the Navy, what did you do, and what year was that you got out?
We got out in 46 of June, I believe. But I didn't tell you the best part of the Navy.
Oh, what was that?
After we got the peace treaty in Japan, we was there, and they signed the peace treaty on the Missouri. Was anchored in the harbor too. Big battleship. We went around and took the Japanese when we go into the town, and they liked their cigarettes. And we'd take the cigarettes out and put paper or something in half of it, and then we'd sell it to them for big money. And then we'd take off running like hell, like kids. And they'd start hollering for SPs, 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 Shore Patrol, our people, to catch us. We were long gone before Shore Patrol ever got there. But that was kind of the joke. We was having a little fun.
Yeah.
And then they opened up a place there and started serving food after they captured it. And we went in some places where they had guns and stuff, and of course we took whatever we wanted. But the big joke was we had to take them on the ship, and then they had to be shipped back home. And the time you got through, it cost you too much. You didn't have the money to ship it home.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you got some Japanese guns. I had some of their fighting guns, but you couldn't afford to ship them back.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we went from there, stayed there, and I think it was January. We must have been the latter part, because we loaded up the food for our ship. It was raining like hell. You had to get in line out in the rain and put food from that supply ship over to us. We went to Nagasaki, and then we went to Hong Kong for recreation. That was the best time I had right there. We got down there, and my friend Ray Robbins was from New Mexico. He would become my good buddy. And we went to a dance up above in a room. Had to go upstairs. And oh, these beautiful gals. We hadn't seen gals they were beautiful. And you could pick one or anyone you wanted and dance with them.
Oh, that was nice.
And we got to drinking a little bit. Ray, he got drunk, and I had to help him down these big steps. And when we got ready to go home back to the ship, he was 6 foot something, and he got too much alcohol. But we had a lot of fun at the dance. And we come down and we had to get back to ship, or we'd be AWOL. So we got back. I had to drag him down there half the way. He was heck getting him down them steps. But that was my best time, and then we went from there to Shanghai, and I didn't really like Shanghai. You go in a bar area, and they'd have these gals working. They'd come over and talk to you, and it just set up deal. They'd order drinks. And of course they wanted us to buy, buy, and they were watering their drinks down and wasn't doing anything. I think they were giving them regular drinks and us water. So we didn't get lit, we just kept spending money, but that was kind of a robbery deal up there in Shanghai.
They had it figured out.
That wasn't much fun. Then we went back to Hong Kong, and then when I got so many points, I got to come home. I had to stay in there so long to get the amount of points to get a discharge.
Right.
We come back, I think we left Shanghai on the troop transport. I can't remember. And then we went 14 days up around the Japanese current to get to Oakland. 5,000 of us on that son of a buck. And you stood in line to eat.
I bet that was not
and
fun.
And then you turned right around and stayed in line to get to eat the next meal. Time you got done with that one, it was time to do it again. And all over 14 days of that shit.
That's not fun.
That wasn't fun. But we knew we were going home.
So that was worth it.
Yeah. Got into Oakland, of course, all that was all a bunch of big thing to get discharged, paperwork and da-da-da-da. You just follow everybody else, go where some of them knew a little more about it than you did, and a little older, and got discharged. Then they asked us, you want to go around to Panama and come into New York and go home? We'll pay for it that way if you want to. And I said, no, I want to go to Denver.
Okay.
So we had to chip in. We did our money. We had a limousine. I think there was 3 or 4 of us, 4 of us, I believe, plus the driver. We took money enough out of us 4 to get him to drive us to Denver.
From Oakland?
Mm-hmm.
In a limousine?
In a limousine.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. But I loaned some money to a guy that lived in Johnstown, Colorado. Right up here, and I've often wondered that if that guy, if I could remember, he never did pay me back.
No.
He said, I'll pay you back.
That's why it's not good to loan.
I'll pay you back, Jack, when I get home. Well, he never give me any money. And but that was the way we got back. And then no welcome, no nothing. Get out of the limousine, give him the money. And then we had enough money to get on I think it was a streetcar. I don't know. Let's see, that'd have been 44. No, I think it was, they had these buses that run with a wire up on the line. You remember them?
Mm-hmm.
They had a wire up there. Well, they had just come in when I come out to work in Denver with Albert and Edna when I was on the farm. I think I rode a bus from there out to Edgewater, and when I got home, Dad was building a little new house, a little rectangle house, and he was out working in the yard. And I come walking up there, and I said, "Hi, Dad." And he turned around and, "Hi, Jack, glad to see you. I'm planting this new grass. There's a shovel and a rake over there." I went in to see my mother and give her a hug and kiss, and I was back out doing what he wanted me to do.
Helping out?
Help him plant grass. That's when my welcome I got.
How did you meet Grandma?
How did I meet Grandma?
Yeah.
Well, my brother Charlie and I were awful close, and he was on our dad's farm renting it. He still owned it, and Charlie was renting it, and he had a good wheat crop. So he wanted to know if I'd come back and help him cut wheat. And he had put in 80 acres of corn for me, so I would have some cash flow when I got home. He was that kind of a brother.
Wow.
And he put it in the corn. So I couldn't hardly refuse him because I knew I was going to have some money in the fall.
Yeah.
Maybe get a car, hopefully. And I I told Charlie, I said, yeah, I'll help you. Well, I went back there and he cut in this good wheat of Ben. I think the Ben held on that Baldwin he was running about 40 bushel, I think. And not any bigger than 40, 45. He would cut that full and he had an old truck. And I got the job of coming to the field, picking up the load, get my ass back here, throw it up in the granary with a 16 shovel, the biggest goddamn shovel they make, for shovel all that wheat. I'd get in there and I'd have to hurry up and get back out. He'd have a damn bin full and didn't want to stop because it was a good year for him. That's what I did when I got down there. Well, one day, that one Saturday night, he let me have his car, and he's having a dance in Juanita. And they had a dance hall down there before we left, and it was still there when we come home. So I go down there to dance, and I'm almost out of sweetheart now, because the one I had as a sweetheart, I told her when I got my draft, went to what I was assigned to, I said, I sent her a Dear John letter, and I said, you go ahead with your life, because I said, what we're getting put on, if we get hit, we will never come back.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought when we got signed to that ship, that we would go over there and get, but the Japanese suicides were just thicker than hell when we were drafted to go out. So I went to the dance, and of course I remember Luella going to school, but we never associated. And lived one about 2.5 miles from where we were raised. I think it was over on their place, and we was over here. I met her and I asked her, I said, would you like a ride home? I'd go right by there within a half mile of your house. Well, I don't think so. So I thought she was standing me up because she had somebody else. Kind of pissed me off. And so I took it and went home without a girl. And so next Saturday night, I said, I'm going to that dance again. I'm going to see if I can't find somebody, because there wasn't too many of them left that I grew up with in there, a couple of years. So it was a year and something, I guess. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years and 15 days or something like that. But anyhow, I had a dance with her, and I said, well, getting down towards the time to close the dancing down, and I said, well, I'm going right by your place again. You want to ride home? She said, yeah, I think I'll go home with you. And that's how I met her.
Oh, wow.
And then I got home, and we worked this crap out of me trying to shovel wheat to keep up with brother, and I got well, I went back on my motorcycle. So then I went over and seen her, and they were cutting wheat. And she had a pair of tight-ass jeans on. She had a pretty little butt, you know, sticked out there pretty good. I drive up and I said, that looks pretty good. And I got talking with her, and she'd come over and talk with me. And that's how we got started.
And then you came back to Denver?
Yeah, and then we wrote letters back and forth. And I helped Charlie, though, pick corn. I had to pick my 8 acres, and the deal with that was he wanted me to help him pick his, too. Well, he had a farmer, he was renting ground way 4 miles from where we was living, and on Dad's place. He had the horses over there, and the guy that the house was vacant and a barn. We had to get up early and go harness the horses and ride to the field, shuck corn, and and I come back in November. Had Thanksgiving with Lou, I think, and their family. Started getting closer and closer. I had Thanksgiving dinner, and they invited me. And then, of course, I had went to school with Virgil and Francis. They were in a class above me or so. And Francis was Luella's sister, so I kind of knew a little bit about them. And Then, after being there for a while, shucking corn and stuff, well, got closer and closer, and when I come back to Denver, I said, well, it's going to be hard to go out there and you back here. It's going to be different. I got back out there, it wasn't very long until she said, well, you come back and get me. And
Yeah.
I had got rid of my motorcycle and got an old Studebaker. That sucker wasn't worth a hoop.
No.
And I said, yeah, I'll come back and get you. So my sister was living with Charlie in Elmer a lot. And I remember she was with me when we come back. And Lou, she come back with me. And put her belongings in the old Studebaker. And back spring, where it ties to the chassis, something broke loose. So I find a bunch of baling wire and heavy wire and wire the damn thing onto this cross member. Drove all the way from there to Denver with it.
Oh, wow.
But I got back. But she come back and got a room where she used to stay with people when I first met her.
So you guys didn't live together when she came back out here?
Huh?
Did you live together when she came out here?
No, she lived in this rental people,
Okay.
and I lived with my mother and dad.
Oh, okay.
And I lived there and worked, and I was helping in Albert when the place he was working was up at Golden at that time.
So is that when you first started working construction?
That's what?
Is that the first year you started working construction with Albert?
Yeah.
What year was
I
that,
joined
do you
the
think?
apprentice when I come back from, now wait a minute, let's see. Let's see here. I think I joined the Carpenter Apprentice School before I went back there in the fall. Yeah, because I'd done a little apprentice work as a carpenter. And I was working with my brother Al up there at Golden. And then I decided Charlie wanted me, see that was, I got back in June, and I think I helped him, and then I joined the Carpenters Union. And then after I got through the winter, kind of went back to her. She came back out with me at Thanksgiving. She stayed with these Prusels. They lived over there at that time on 17th and High. I could still drive by there and remember getting out and going and seeing her. She stayed there when their daughter and two more girls were boarding there. They had an upstairs, and it was very common to have people boarding, but not eating, just sleeping. Some places, when you stayed with them, you had boarding room, but this was just boarding.
Yeah.
Just sleep.
What year did you build your house on Hooker Street?
Hickory Street would be, we farmed, we get back here a little bit now. We got,
We're jumping ahead. We're almost done.
we got back, and she come out here, and we started going to seeing each other, and then I said, why don't we get married? Yeah.
How did you ask her to get married?
Huh?
How did you ask to marry her?
How did I ask her?
Yeah.
I think she asked me.
Really?
Yeah. I think she asked me if I'd like to marry her, and I said yes. But so we got married, and we
What year was that?
1947. We was married in 47. No, that wouldn't be right. We got back. Yes, it would. It'd be 47.
Okay.
Yeah, because I got out in June of 46 and
Yeah.
got married in 47. I escaped the hatch for about a year.
Yeah. So what year do you think you built your house on Hooker Street that you guys lived in?
Yeah, we built it. We built it when we went back, rented the farm, and then for
Oh,
5 years.
So you went back to Nebraska for 5 years?
Yeah, we both went back. See, it got slower work in construction in 48, 49. And so we rented Dad's farm, and Charlie left and went to another place. I felt bad because I thought I caused him to leave there. And he said, no, he said, I want to let you have it, brother. And I said, I don't know, I was unhappy because we was out of work from December until March. I couldn't get a job.
Oh, wow.
It was winter. And so then I went back to farming Dad's place, and we were there 5 years. We raised 3 beautiful daughters there. They were babies. And then we come back to Denver and started carpentering. And then we rented a house down on south of Lincoln High School, a little house. We rented it from April until August. And our house was built in that time that we could move in and start Linda to school. That was 1955.
Okay.
Kind of got off track on that.
Yeah, that's all right. And who helped you build your house?
Pardon?
Who helped you build your house?
My dad, and then we had subs. We subbed the brickwork out, we subbed the roof out. Of course, we subbed the plumbing and electrical and the heat. But we did the foundation and
Brick and mortar.
mortar. Well, we built. We put up the forms and had somebody. Well, we poured it out of a cement truck. It was, I think, $7 a yard then. Now it's 100 and something.
Yeah.
180 or 50, I don't know where it's at.
It's up there.
But Dad and I did it, plus the subs. We built that house, Gladys's house, and they had a house over on Yates. I think we put the subfloor on over there. It was ready for the subfloor, and I started helping Dad there. Hotter than hell that day. I got sunburned like mad. We built 3 houses, and 2 of them were occupied that year.
Wow.
And the other one could have been if we'd have pushed it a little.
Uh-huh.
Gladys's house was built in past January, I think.
And here's a question kind of going back. Aunt Linda told me about there was a time you opened a hatch while on the ship in a storm. Is that you opened?
Typhoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, we rode out 2 that I can remember. And another guy and I opened the hatch, just wasn't supposed to do that because the water had all come down. We just opened a little bit to take a peek, and I looked up like that, and that damn wave was like here looking up at the mountain. I mean, that sucker it was way up there.
Yeah.
But the water splashed down, and I clutched the hatch real quick. So could have been flooded through that water coming in there. But we rode her out. The old baby was built pretty good.
Yeah.
Some of them had bust them right in the middle. Them typhoons.
Wow.
It was so.
The ocean is scary.
You scared the hell out of you. We rode out 2 of them. The old seaplane tender and the skipper, and we had a good crew. I got a boy when I moved back to Nebraska, to Colorado, and everybody said, "Well, how come you got a boy when you couldn't get a boy back in Nebraska?" And I said, "It was change the milkman." I was a milkman back there, and I don't know who the milkman was out here. It was his, probably his.
What did you like and learn from your brothers and sisters as a kid and an adult?
I liked a lot, listen to my brothers to things not to do that they got in trouble, big trouble sometimes. My sister, I feel kind of bad. I really wasn't around her enough when she got up into years. I would be close to her because she stayed a lot with Charlie and Elmer. They took her in and you know, and a lot of times they'd stay with. She liked them and they liked her. Uh, she and I were there together, and Mother, when Dad was away working and we were doing the farming. And she was pretty young, so I didn't really get a bond with her like you do when you're together for a long time.
Yeah.
So the next thing, I'm down going to school, not home, only when the weather was good and I was in sports.
Okay.
So I wasn't coming home every weekend.
But
anyhow, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with my sister. And then I went in the service because I was down to high school staying with my grandmother.
Because she was 5 years younger than you?
Yeah.
That's a big stretch.
In them days, at that age, was a big stretch. Now, it don't seem that big.
Still is. My kids are 3.5, so.
Yeah.
What is the best thing you learned from your parents?
Respect and love and be not to ever lie. I learned a lot of good things from both of them. I did a lot of helping my mother because she didn't have a girl to help her. Even though I was named as a girl, I would heat her water for her to wash clothes, and I separated and stuff when I was there, when all the others are gone, you know, and help her. I'd clean when Dad would be gone. Well, of course, LaVon and Mom and I was the big deal. We kind of run the farm.
Yeah.
And in the summertime, I was naturally busy doing farming, and then we had hogs and milk cows.
Yeah.
But I learned to be faithful and to be, I think I learned from them to respect the elderly, because I seen how they treated their mother, my dad, and their side of the family. They all come down and visit her a lot, and we all go down there and do work for us. The whole bunch of kids of us. Mostly, it wouldn't be many come, but the Terry boys, and of course 5 of us do a lot of work for her. She had weeds to pull or, you know, clean up her place, but she couldn't do it no more. But, and then I respected the fact that they taught us how to work. Work never hurts you.
No.
It makes you tired, but it don't hurt you. It can teach up you.
And for last but not least, what was the most important knowledge you wanted to pass on to your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren?
I wanted to pass on to them to be respectful to older people, respectful to everybody, and to be a good person. Do not try to cheat and get ahead some way that isn't going to work. Be faithful to your parents. They're number one. You can't. You sometimes think your parents is awful hard on you, but in the long run is the best thing for you to have strictness. And they gave you a lot of love, and they got to give a lot of love back. I mean, you as a parent give a lot of love to your children, but they've got to give you some back sometime, and you don't have to wait until you get old. You know, they can give you love from the time like your kids are,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they do.
And I always tell the young ones to be faithful to your mother and dad, because they are the ones that is trying to make you a real good person. And they have the choice to go to church, and that's fine. We tried to go to church and it didn't work out and got discouraged. And Luella was preached at by her mother to go, 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 and that's all she heard. And my dad, that's all they said to me, and I just got to where I didn't like it. And we tried to join the Baptist church there over by Harvey Park High School, Kunzmiller.
But you don't have to go to church to pray and stuff.
Pardon?
You don't have to go to church to pray. You can always just pray.
I know that.
Yeah,
That's another thing I love my grandmother that I stayed with. She was a Church of Christ, which Church of Christ people, Luella's people, Church of Christ people, but the Church of Christ people her mother lived to were different. They didn't want kids to go out and dance. They didn't want to play cards. But all of the young girls got pregnant. They never took that into consideration, but they wouldn't let them do this other stuff.
Well,
and that I hated that church. My mother went to a good Church of Christ. They used to get together down there at Juanita. They had a big place down by the falls there by the thing. It was beautiful. And as a kid, I remember we used to go to church down there. They had big thing, you know. They groups meet. And it was a lot of fun. But after we got older and tried down there at the Baptist church, we just didn't fit in. They wanted you to come, and I was so damn busy working that I was tired. I couldn't go.
Yeah.
I just had to get some rest, and then I played with the kids. Every weekend I had to go somewhere with them, to be a good father, hopefully. But I think it's my grandmother, going back to her, I'd sit and play cards with her in the evenings. She'd have a Bible there, push the Bible back, we'd sit and play cards. She never once said to me in 4 years, "You need to go to church." I seen what she was. She got to the place she couldn't get to church no more, so she read the Bible and was a good Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And after watching her, how she turned to me, helped me a lot too. Second mother she was. We had such a good relationship that I kind of wanted to mold some of my ways, her ideas too, because she was very good.
Yeah.
She's a hell of a good cook. I loved her for cooking. Cake, pie, and anything she'd make, food. But she was strict. One day I got in trouble at school. Some teacher jumped on me for the door slamming, going into history class. It wasn't me that slammed the door. That teacher let into me so damn hard in front of all of the students in that class, I blew up. I said, "It wasn't me, Mr. Whoever it was. It was a person behind me." And he couldn't get it in his head it was the guy behind me.
Yeah.
And I said, "You can take this goddamn history, you can shove it up your ass." And I said, I'm mad now. And I took off, went home, and Grandma knew something was the matter when I come home. She said, "I knew some trouble had happened." She said, what's wrong, Jack?" And I said, "Well, I got treated wrong and I wasn't going to take it."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, I respect you for that, but you didn't have to get too mad." But she said, "You see that tree out there? I've been wanting you to cut that down, and I think the mood you're in, the axe is right there." I got that axe and I cut that damn tree down and nothing flat for her. But it took a little of the energy and hate out of me. But anyhow, she taught me something. But I did. I just pulled out of school for a while. I wouldn't even go.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking your time out.
Well, it's
I love you.
kind of boring. Listen to all the bull.
No, it's not boring.